Well, since it's Mother's Day, I thought maybe this would be a good time to share some things that moms would never, ever actually say. So here's some quotes that moms would actually never, ever say. How on earth can you see the TV sitting so far back? Yeah, moms would never say that, right? Why don't you scoot up, get real close? I mean, right here, that'd be good, right there. Then you could really get a good view. Moms would never say, yeah, I used to skip school a lot too. Moms would never say, oh, just leave the lights on. It makes the house look more cheery. Moms would never say, let me smell that shirt. Yeah, I think it's good for another week. Moms would never say, go ahead and keep that stray dog, honey. I'll feed and walk him every day. She'd never say, well, if your friend's mom says it's okay, that's good enough for me. Mom would never say, you know, the curfew, it's just a general guideline to shoot for. It's not like I'm running a prison around here. Never say that. She would never say, sorry, I don't have a Kleenex. Oh, just use your sleeve. She'd never say, don't bother wearing a jacket. The wind chill is bound to improve. Riley, wear a jacket. My little Riley, she just doesn't seem to care that it's cold outside. Okay, so I want to thank Tom Rader for putting that together. He's from Australia, and he compiled those, and that's a fun list. We continue in our series as we look at Jesus' generous life through Luke's eyes. And since it's Mother's Day, how convenient that we come to two women, sisters really, that are complete opposites. I don't know if you have a sister, or if you can relate to this, that you're one way, she's the other. It's almost like the odd couple, right? Just complete opposites. Now you probably know, you know these two probably, Mary and Martha. Let's start with Martha. Martha is one who loves to entertain. She loves to have company as long as you call first. She wants to make sure you call first. She has her home in immaculate condition. Everything is where it should be in place. In fact, she was once featured in the prominent magazine Southern Judea Living. She has a last name, and I know you don't know this because it's not in the Bible, but I did extensive research and found that her last name is Stewart. Okay, maybe not. So Mary is the complete opposite. Mary, she doesn't mind having people over. She doesn't really keep a clean house to say. I mean, it's okay. It's just not, it's not immaculate or anything like that. And Mary, she doesn't really entertain when you're there. She just likes to have you there. She likes company. She probably would tell you, you go get your own iced tea. She lets you do that work because she's more interested in, let's just get together, let's just talk, let's hang out. So there's differences, you're right? I want to make it very, very clear that both Mary and Martha are good people. They really are. They are good people. And what happens sometimes, though, and maybe this is true for you, I know it's true for me, we can do good things, and we can say good things, and we can be good, and yet the things that we get into that are good and the things that we do that are good sometimes can interfere with what's best for us, what's best for our family, what's best for our relationship. Have you noticed that? That sometimes the good keeps us from doing the best. I mean, it's healthy for you, and it's good for you, and I'm not talking about anything morally bad or wrong. I'm just talking about something that is good. Can sometimes, because we only have so much energy, we only have so much time, isn't that true? Something that is good can take away from what is best. So here is Mary and Martha. As Jesus and his disciples, remember there's 12 of them that are real close to him, were on their way, he came to a village we later learn is Bethany, where a woman named Martha opened her home to him, and of course the rest. And so what that means is that even though this is a Middle Eastern home, it probably was small, she is being very generous, because opening her home doesn't just mean she's going to feed them. She certainly is going to do that, but she is also going to lodge them. This is a big undertaking, very generous of Martha. That's Martha. So then you get introduced to Mary. She had a sister called Mary, and the reason why she is called the sister of Martha is because there's a lot of Marys in the Bible. Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of Jesus. This is Mary, Martha's sister, who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he, Jesus, said. Now, in our Western mindset, we often think it looks like this. In fact, there's even paintings out there, if you've seen them, where Jesus is sitting in a seat, and he's teaching his disciples, and right there in front is Mary. She's like the best student of the class. She's the first person right there, and she's just hanging on every word. That is a Western mindset. It's not really how it happened. When it says that she was sitting at Jesus' feet, what that means is as they reclined around the table, because their tables were not this high, they were very low. They sat on pillows and leaned on elbows, and they ate that way, which is crazy. I don't know how you do that, but they did, and their feet then would have jetted out in all directions around the table. So what she's doing, because she wouldn't be presumptuous to sit where the men are sitting in that culture, she is sitting as close as she can to Jesus at his feet. She's there at his feet, watching him as close as she can, listening to him as close as she can. So there's the scene, there's the setup. Now, these are two opposite sisters. One's at the feet, one is preparing and serving, and here comes the problem. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. Now, of course she has preparations to make. She's the host. This is her house. She is the one that has invited them in. They're going to want a meal. They're there to eat. They're there to lodge. This makes sense that she's going to have a lot of preparations to get ready for. The word preparations is not where our focus should be in this sentence, because that makes sense. She's got to take care of these guys. She invited them in. Hospitality is huge in that culture. But Martha was distracted. It's the word distracted that's very interesting. In fact, let's highlight distracted. The word distracted is a rare word in Greek language. Now, there are other words that Luke could have chosen to get his point across, to get this idea of being distracted. So there's a richer meaning here because he chose this word. Distracted here means more than just, I got a lot on my mind. I'm a little busy. It's a deeper, richer word. This is the only time, by the way, that Luke actually uses this word. He doesn't have any other occasion to pull this word out. It's an old word. It is a rarely used word. He doesn't use it himself but one time, and he wrote the whole book of Luke, the whole book of Acts, so he had plenty of verbs to throw this in, but or that's not a verb, don't correct me, Julie. So you were looking at me, I could tell. So he didn't use it. But here's what's interesting. No other writer ever uses it. Luke is the only one that uses it. This is a very unique word. And so, because it's a very unique word, I want us to learn this word in the Greek. Are you excited? Did you think maybe Mother's Day, that'd be a good day to come to church and learn a Greek word? Well, I want you to learn it because I like this word. And I know you're going to have occasions to use it at some point in your life. So here you go. How do you pronounce that? We got some good ideas out there. Actually, when you pronounce Greek, there isn't an actual one way to pronounce, because when the writers of old ancient Greek wrote what they wrote, that was a long time ago, and things have changed over time. In fact, when I went to seminary, they gave us some rules on how to pronounce things, and they told us, now listen, there are going to be other people that don't pronounce it that way. And here's why. They think it was actually pronounced this way. This is Koine Greek. This is older version Greek. It's like Old English, but even older than that. It sounds different to a modern person speaking Greek. So the way that I would pronounce this is perispateo, and you put the emphasis on the A. Perispateo. Now I'm going to teach you how to pronounce this, because this word means so much to me. Here's how we're going to learn to pronounce it. Okay, so imagine you are in France. Now, I know it's Greek, it's in France, I'm confusing you, but I think you'll get it. You're in France, and you're sitting at a bistro on a main street, a little cafe that's on the street there, and you got the little umbrella over you, and you've got the cobblestone road, and you got the people walking back and forth, and in the distance you see the Eiffel Tower because you're in Paris, France. And then right in front of you on that plate is a big, old, overstuffed potato. Baked potato. And I know you're looking at me like, wait a second, we're in France. They don't have potatoes in France. Where do you think they got French fry? Actually, that was invented in America. I found out. That's so sad, so sad. So you got the potato in front of you. All right, so what is this? It's a Paris potato. So just say Paris potato. Oh, look, you're speaking Greek. Just put a little flair in it. Paris potato. Paris potato. Come on, you can get there. Now I'm going to mess myself up. Paris potato. No, I can't even say it anymore. It'll come to me later. All right, so I just say Paris potato. All right, so here you go. To draw around is its actual definition. So to draw around, though, doesn't sound like distracted, does it? Because when we think to draw around, we're like, well, there's a date on the calendar, and I'm going to draw a circle around that date, which is not really what it means at all. Or let's draw around this table here. All of us, come on, let's gather around. That's not really what it means. Think of it inside. To draw around internally, to go inside, and really think about and dwell upon what it is that has got your attention. To be distracted this way is to be drawn around a thought you can't get out of your mind, or emotional feeling you can't get out of your heart. It's to be drawn around that. And the reason I really like this word is because of what it does physiologically to you. It is a word that has a beautiful word picture that goes right along with it, and it's this. Okay. You're back at that bistro, and you've got your potato, and you've got your Eiffel Tower, people walking on cobblestone streets, and everything's going well. You got your Paris potato. Then you take your bite of it. It is the best French potato you've ever eaten. And you swallow it, and it goes into you, and it just tears you up inside. It draws you inward. It pulls you, in fact, to the point of, because your emotions are all wrapped up and your thoughts are all wrapped up around this thing that you just can't get off your mind. You're totally absorbed in it. It actually pulls in, and it shows up on your face. So someone who is just completely pulled in and distracted by, and you've seen people like this, right? You're probably doing it right now. Because you typically will mimic somebody who does stuff like this. Like, okay, relax, you're good. The problem is, this wasn't just a passing thing. She wasn't just like all distracted and drawn in for a moment. This is a word that is in the imperfect. Imperfect means, in the Greek, it's ongoing. She's like this, like the whole time. She's completely consumed by this. So that's what it means when we look back at this. But Martha was just drawn in and consumed with, and couldn't get off her mind, and her emotions were all tied up, and her face was like in a knot, all twisted up. She's showing it. It's not like she's hiding it. It's there. Everybody knows something's up with Martha here. She's all potato-y. She's all like French potato-y by all the preparations that have to be made. So much so, she's so messed up that it affects how she treats others. You ever been there? You get so into something, you get so distracted by something somebody said, and you can't get that thought off your mind, and you're just all messed up inside. It's starting to show on the outside, and then you take it out on them. You ever been there? You ever lash back at those that you love because you're all messed up on the inside, you're all twisted up, you're all wrapped around it? You ever say something you wish you hadn't said when you're in this potatoey state? So here we are, all distracted by the preparations that had to be made, that she actually does something to somebody that she loves, somebody that she's really close to. She came up to Jesus and asked, Lord, this is her Lord. She invited him to home. She knows who he is. She's got a guest, an honored guest in her home. This is Jesus. Oh, it's Jesus in my home. I'm taking care of, Martha Stewart's taking care of Jesus. This is good stuff for her. But she's all twisted up and distracted by what's going on the inside here, that she just starts lashing out at him. Don't you care? Lord, don't you care? I mean, you're sitting there, you're talking and you're teaching, you don't even care. My sister is sitting right there. Don't you care that my sister has let me do all the work while she just sits there? Tell her to help me. Tell her to help me. Now, if we were to map this out, do a diagram of this, it'd probably look like this. Here's Martha, and here she is completely focused in on Mary, who's just sitting there. And I can imagine, Mary's just sitting there completely innocent, completely shocked by this. What? I'm just sitting there. And yet Mary's all twisted up over this. By the way, just to be clear, because I said both of these are good women, I want to also share, I really don't think, and sometimes you might think this because of attitude. Sometimes we can, in an attitude, we can project on somebody that, they're all like that in their face, that they're an ugly individual. These are Mideastern women. I imagine they are both beautiful. Mary and Martha, beautiful women. It's just that what we do sometimes and how we behave and what our attitudes are like, that sometimes makes us ugly. So Martha is all consumed with what Mary is doing there, but really it isn't Mary, is it? I mean, if we really diagram this right, it's, in a sense, all the things that she needs to do to serve, she's consumed with them. It says she's distracted. She's all so focused inward on the things that she has to get done. They're messing with her, right? That when she sees Mary, what Mary represents to her is the one who's not serving. So it's all about service. That's what she is all distracted by. Her desire to do this thing right, and Mary just sitting there, and there's just so much to do, and it's so busy, and it's so overwhelming. It has totally messed her up to the point that, and here's the deal, to the point that it actually affects her relationship with Jesus. She starts pulling away from Jesus. Now, this is why I want you to see this diagram, because if we took this off and Jesus wasn't there, there is absolutely nothing wrong with Mary serving. In fact, not only is there nothing wrong with Mary serving, that's exactly what we're supposed to be engaged in. We say, and we often have it hanging on the wall, but we also put it in here, that we are to live life with Jesus in community, on mission. This is why we're here. This is what we are all about. We live life with Jesus in community, on mission, and part of being on mission is to serve. We just went through a challenge together to find your place. Where are you going to serve in the church? Many of you, I've found out, are serving like crazy, and that's awesome. So service is not the enemy. It's not. In fact, if you go back and read the entire chapter 10, you will find that in this chapter, it begins with service. Jesus sends them out again. Last week, we talked about him sending out 12. This week, he sends out 72. His numbers of those that are ready to do this ministry have grown. That is awesome. And he tells them the same instructions. Don't take anything with you. Go and just teach them. And the reason he does that is so they rely entirely on the hospitality of others. What's hospitality? People taking them into their homes, feeding them, and lodging them. It's serving. This is all about serving. All of chapter 10 is all about serving. And then Jesus actually, when they get back, tells this parable, a parable you know. It's about a good Samaritan. And he tells this parable because he's been challenged, but he also tells this parable because it's all about serving. The entire chapter is about serving, and the Good Samaritan's the only one of 3 individuals who cared enough about a man who was all beat up to take care of him, to serve him, to heal him, to bring him to an inn. He couldn't bring him home because he's a foreigner, but he does the next best thing. He brings him into an inn. He pays for everything for him to get better, and he comes back and pays even more, because if the stay ends up longer, he's going to pay until the man is well. It's all about serving. Then we come to the very end, and it's Martha's home, and there's no better place to receive great service. And so the whole chapter is about service. Martha is an amazing servant. It's good. Serving is good. It's just when we get all into ourself, serving becomes bad, because we miss the best, don't we? When serving is all good, and serving is good, and we ignore other people, or we lash out at other people, all of a sudden what is good, it's not so good. I want to give a personal example since it's Mother's Day, so let me throw my name up here. And I think this might help to understand perispateo a little bit better. So here I am, long time ago, I don't remember how many years ago, doesn't really matter because it probably happened often knowing me. I'm on the phone. Sundays I usually call Mom. I'm on the phone. I'm talking to Mom, and I'd love to say we were having a great conversation, but unfortunately I was distracted. You see, I don't know if this is you or not, and maybe it is, maybe it's not, but if you're a guy, it probably is. You can be talking on the phone, or you could be talking to somebody, right? And all of a sudden, the kids turn on the TV. And now all of a sudden, everything's about the TV. Anybody with me on this? Anybody do this to your mom? It's Mother's Day, and you can admit it, right? So I'm like all into whatever, and I don't even remember what it was, but I'm all into it. Whatever they were watching, I'm into it. I'm watching, I'm listening, and Mom's talking, and so I do what you're supposed to do to let her know I'm still there. Yeah. I have no idea what she's saying. I'm watching TV. And then she says to me, Jeff, it doesn't matter if you're not hearing somebody or not. When your name is called, you hear it, don't you? Jeff. Yeah, what? Are you watching TV? She knows me. Yeah, I am. I'm sorry. And I get up and I leave the room. And I actually left the room and I found out I could still hear the TV. I had to leave the room and then leave another room. And so I could just, it's all you, Mom. It's all you right now. In fact, could you do me a favor? Could you back up and repeat the last 10 minutes of what you said? Because I got nothing. I have no idea what you're talking about. So we do that, right? So Mom gets left out, right? Now, here's the deal. There's nothing wrong with watching TV, is there? I mean, there are shows you should not be watching, all right? Let's be honest. But let's say the show is good. Let's say there's good stuff on TV. You got to really work at it to find it, but it's on there, and you're watching this, and you're whatever, it's good. Let's just say it's good. There's nothing wrong with watching TV. But when that becomes something that takes me away from what's more important, my mama, that's bad. Here's also the deal. It's not really the TV, is it? Perispateo says, no, it's not the TV. Again, the TV is fine. The TV is neutral. The TV's good. It's not the TV, is it? You know what it is? It's self. We get all wrapped up in us and what we want to do and what pleases the flesh and whatever. We get all into us. That's what distracts us. That's what becomes the problem. And so if we go back to Martha and her into serving, we already said serving's fine. If it wasn't distracting her from Jesus, there'd be nothing wrong with serving. In fact, we have served together as a church in some pretty cool ways where we are Carrie Mae's team, the cleaning team. We were all here. A lot of us were here. The church, inside, outside, cleaning and straightening, making things better, improving stuff. And while we were doing that, we had some amazing conversations and amazing fellowship. And some of you had amazing amounts of donuts. But it was a good day. It was a good day. And we enjoyed that time together. Some of the best times that I've had with my dad were when we were working on a project. Is this true for guys, where you're like working on a project? Some of the best conversations happen. We get busy and do something together. So there's nothing wrong with serving. So it really isn't serving that she was having a problem with. It was self. That's what presbyteo is all about. It's about yourself getting all drawn into you. It's about what you want. And Martha, is all upset over all the things that have to get done, and I'm not being appreciated, and look at Mary, she's not doing her part. But it was all her. It was all her. In fact, we know that it's all about self because we go back to the verse and we can see it. She said, Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me. Me. Now, I want it. I need it. Pat me on the back. Give me the appreciation. Pay attention to me. Presbyteo takes us away from what's most important, even if what we're engaged in is a good thing. Good can be the enemy of great, can't it? It certainly was here. So Jesus says to her, Martha, Martha. You ever wonder why he says her name twice? Do you think maybe he was just like laughing at her? Martha, Martha, you're so silly. I don't actually. You think he was angry? Martha, Martha, will you stop that? Here's what I think. I think it was like this. Jeff, come on, it's me, Mom. Yeah, it is you. You are more important, aren't you? I'm sorry, that's crazy. I don't know how I let that happen. Martha, look at me. It's me. It's Jesus. Oh, you are so worried and upset. It's got you, doesn't it? I mean, you're all wound up inside. And you're upset about all these things, you know, the meal and if everybody's comfortable and Mary sitting there not doing anything. You're worried about these things. Come on. We're going to have a great meal together. It's going to be awesome. I know you're a good cook and you're a good host and you've been so generous opening your home to all of us, but look. You're missing something huge. Only one thing is needed, really. I mean, when you strip it all away, come on, Martha, look. You want everything to be perfect. You want everything to be right. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's good. But there's something greater. You're missing it. I don't want you to miss it. Please don't miss it. She says, look, Mary's chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. No way. I know, no. What you see is her just sitting there doing nothing, but what I see is her sitting there looking at me, listening to me, wanting to be close to me. I'm not going to take that away from her. No way. No way. What we think is that there's this divide between serving and sitting, and that's where the real conflict is. And Jesus is teaching sitting is so much better than serving. Isn't that nuts? Doesn't that sound crazy? But that's, kind of how we think about it sometimes. She's chosen rest over work. Rest is so much better. Is it? Is rest so much better? God demonstrated a work-rest cycle of 6 days and 1 day of rest, and so is that what he's demonstrating? Is rest good? Yes, rest is so good. It's so helpful. It's so recharging. It's so great. It's needed. It's necessary. It's good. But you know what? Serving is good too. And serving is so good that Jesus makes a huge point of talking about serving over and over again. This whole chapter is about serving. But not only that, Jesus himself said, I didn't come to be served. I came to serve. And I'm going to do it till every drop of blood is spilled for you. I'm going to serve with my life. Serving's important to Jesus. Serving's necessary. Both of these are good. It's not about which one of these is better. Both of them are necessary. Serving, sitting, working, resting in a proper cycle. That's all good. Here's the real distinction. Being distracted or dying. That's the choice. You might think, well, that's a little drastic, Jeff. No, it's actually really what it means to follow Jesus. To really get the point, to understand why something so good as serving can be set aside by someone like Mary, and yet Mary's commended. It's not about her sitting. It isn't. It's this idea that when you're distracted by the busyness of life, and let me just share this because I say it, you say it, we're all busy. You realize that busyness isn't the enemy, right? I imagine that everybody has been busy throughout history. And I know it's just crazy now because sports have gone year-round, factories go 7 days a week, and mandatory overtime. Everybody's taking work home, and the stress levels are crazy. And we are busy, absolutely. But busyness isn't the enemy because we're always going to be busy. Do you really think we're going to be able to change the direction that culture is moving in this area of busyness? We're not even called to. You know what we're called to do? We're called to rest in the middle of it. We're called to rest while life is going haywire. We're supposed to rest in Jesus and walk with Jesus and be recharged by Jesus even in the midst of our crazy life. We actually can be completely consumed with self because of our distraction. That's what perispateo is all about, being drawn in. Or we can choose, instead of being distracted by self, we can die to self. And if we die to self, all of a sudden we realize we're free. All of a sudden, in the midst of the pressure, in the midst of the busyness, in the midst of the craziness, because that's life. Until we get to heaven, that's it. That's the way it's going to be for us. In the midst of it, though, we can breathe. We can breathe. Because we're not worried about self anymore when we daily pick up the practice again. And we have to pick it up again because we forget to die to self daily. We forget we're supposed to take up our cross daily. We forget we're supposed to say, this isn't about me. We forget that we're supposed to look at our life and say, there are good things that I'm doing, but are those the best things? And then die to the good things. So the best things can happen for our family, for ourselves, for our marriage. We need to get back into the practice. This is a spiritual discipline. Die to self. It's not about me. Mary was sitting at the feet of Jesus, and the reason it won't be taken away from her, even though maybe culture's expectations were, and maybe, she could have picked up her end of the deal and did at least a little bit. Maybe she could have put the napkins on the table. I don't know. But Jesus says, no, I'm not taking this away from her. Because Mary is not just sitting. She's sitting at my feet. She is wanting me. She has died to self and made me everything. And that's what it means to die to self, to say, I don't want to be the most important person in my life anymore. I want Jesus to be the most important person in my life. I want to stop the rat race and the busyness and the distractions. Not that I can really stop them, but I really want, in the midst of all this craziness, to just stop for a moment and make Him Lord of my life again instead of me. Because when it's about me, it's all drawn in. It's all potato-y. It really is. There's nothing good about that. And then we hurt people around us because we're selfish. Perispateo is about selfishness. And the only cure is to die to self. And it's not something you can do one time. Although if this morning you need to make a commitment to the Lord again because you know you've lived apart from Him, absolutely. We'll surround you. We'll pray with you for that new commitment. That is awesome. But tomorrow morning you need to die to self again. That's the spiritual discipline. It's a daily practice. Jesus once said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened." Anybody here weary and burdened? Why is it that Mother's Day makes us moms even more wearied and burdened? It's like crazy, right? Getting everybody out the door all dressed up for church. I'll tell you what Mother's Day should look like. Church is off today. Everybody stay home. And add on to that, and the guys cook lunch. That's not today, Angie. That was just an idea for the future. Come to me, he says, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Do you think by that Jesus means you never have to work a day of your life again? Wouldn't that be awesome? Actually, do you realize that if you stripped everything away and you no longer had anything like... What if you did a moratorium for an entire season? No sports in our family for a whole season? No taking work home for a whole season? No staying late? No working extra days? No projects? No saying yes to anything? As a family, we're taking the season off. Do you really think you will actually do what is best automatically because you have become kind of like a monk for a season? We're going to just stay in our house for the entire season together. You'll find distractions. There's that favorite TV show, series you could catch up on. You could catch up on the whole series in a matter of a day and a half. You'll find things to get distracted by and make it all about you again. The only cure is dying to self. When Jesus says, I'll give you rest, he's talking about, hey, you're wearied and you're burdened right now. The reason you're wearied and you're burdened is because your life has been about you, and you are tiring. You are exhausting. It takes a lot of work to keep you going and you happy. You start living for Jesus, he says, my yoke is easy. My burden is light. It's time to die, church. Now, I have one more saying that Mom would never say. And here it is. Mom would never say, why don't you wait and give your life to Jesus? When you have more time, when you retire, there's always tomorrow. A mom who actually loves the Lord would never, ever say that. Not only because she wants to know that you're going to be in heaven with her, because that's the promise of living with Jesus, but she wants you to be freed from the wearisome, burdenous, potato-y life that you're living right now. There's freedom in Christ. And I want to offer you an invitation to meet him if you have never met him, or to surrender to him if you've never surrendered to him. This is your invitation to accept Jesus, to proclaim him publicly, and to learn how to die to self and live for him. So I'm going to ask that you stand. I'm going to pray, and then we're going to sing. That's when you come forward. Father God, we thank you again for our moms. And we pray that you will provide for them a beautiful day, a restful day, a day that is filled with life and hope and joy. We pray that each of us, as we wake up tomorrow morning, will pick up the discipline of dying to self and give you our day. We're going to use that day anyway. Might as well trade it in and make it worthwhile as we give it to you. God, help us to learn this spiritual discipline, to make it about you and not us, to choose the best over good. We love you and thank you. For decisions, I pray you call them forward now in Jesus' name. Amen.